All right, Fidel is getting a pretty good chew on with this bully stick, and that's actually the subject of this video. We're going to talk about chewing and biting and nipping. Now, biting and nipping is not something that most people enjoy, and you'll see some people with a bunch of scars in their forearms from the dog nipping and biting. Now, dogs learn to develop their dexterity of their bite by mouthing and nipping. And so that's why we want to have appropriate chew toys for them, that, like I talked about in some of the other videos. But we also want to teach them what we call bite inhibition. And one author of a book that I read made it basically for him, that's the most important thing about a dog, raising a puppy, making sure they have good bite inhibition. And he cites case studies where like a dog that's not well trained, not well socialized, not well behaved, but has great bite inhibition, gets its tail trapped slammed in a car door or something like that, and just lightly nipped a guardian. Other cases where a dog had its tail caught in the door and was very well trained, very well behaved, but didn't have bite inhibition, mauled the arm severely, caused a lot of damage. So they're learning just like we do. Human babies do what they call zoning. If I want to reach for this here, I'm going to kind of go back and forth until my hand hits it, and then I can reach and grab it. So dogs sample things by putting them into their mouth, so it's a natural thing for them to put in their mouth. That's why I did the video about setting up a puppy playroom. That way we help them practice appropriate things going into their mouth. And that's why it's so important not to leave out cords or shoes or socks or things that's inappropriate for the dog to chew on. All right, so now, but chewing is occasionally the dog's going to nip you and mouth you. And so one of the things that you like to do is actually get, can you hand me that rope toy there? There we go. So rope toys like this, now he's not going to want to chew on this, he's going to want to chew on this. But when he's chewing on something when he's chewing on something like this, you want to play like tug of war with him. Anytime his teeth touch you, you want to yelp. And so I'll kind of show you here, so I'll kind of... See how he froze for a second? When dogs play with each other, you'll see them playing it like we teach a puppy socialization class. They'll bite each one, will bite too hard. They get too excited, just like us. When we get excited, we lose a little bit of control of our faculties. Same sort of thing for puppies. So running around with another dog, they're like, oh, that's a cute furry butt, bite it. Ooh, too hard, the other dog yelps. Well, what happens is both dogs will pause for a second, and it's kind of like a conversation like, you okay? No, man, that hurt. That was too hard. I'm sorry, I got really excited. Okay, but don't bite my butt that hard. Okay, all right, you ready to go back to play? And then they go romping around again. So they have a lot of resets like that throughout the day as they're playing. You want to have these with yourself, and playing tug of war gives you an opportunity for that. So the dog understands anytime that I touch the human skin, it hurts them because they cry out. And I don't want to hurt them. I'm just exuberant and I just lost a little control. So this would be something you should probably try to play with your dog, a pull game like this, at least once a day until they're about 4 to 5 months old, so you can help them. It doesn't always have to be a rope toy. It could be a plushie or whatever your object that your dog has that you can kind of give and take. Now, I mentioned in the video about the puppy playroom is when puppies get mouthy and get cranky, a lot of times they get mouthy and nippy. So if your dog is really mouthy and nippy, more so than normal, ask yourself, how long has it been since the puppy's had a nap? Maybe we need to arrange a nap for the puppy. Now, the other thing I like to do is whenever the dog's teeth touch me, even if it was accidental, I yelp like, woo! And then I go back to it. You see how he stopped. Now, he's not always going to stop like that. Especially when they're mouthy and cranky, a lot of times they just keep on jumping up, and I don't care that I'm hurting you, I want to keep on chewing you, and I'm not thinking properly because, again, I'm tired and cranky. So what I would do is have one of these, or they have nylobones that look like a bone that actually no bone looks like. They're just, the cartoon bone, as I refer to them. There are 2 nubs on either end. And so basically those, usually they come in a pack of 3. One is cookie, one is bendable, very flexible, one is rigid and rock hard. That's the nylobone, is the rigid one. They're all made by nylobone. But basically, I have a whole bunch of these of different sizes and shapes. I got it for you, buddy. I got your back. And I would keep one of these in my pocket at all times. So if the dog starts mouthing and nipping me and the yelp doesn't work, then the next thing I can do is pull this thing out. Now, if I just give it to him, this one he's been chewing on, so he went right back to it. Usually dogs, if you hand them something, they're like, that's not very interesting. But if you throw it and it's a ball and it bounces, then I get running away and I get to go chase it, that's very appealing to dogs. So if I want the dog to kind of chew on something, I'm going to kind of tease him like this, tease him. Again, he's looking for the bully stick. And then when he latches onto it, I would kind of do a little bit of that tug of war and then let him pull it away from me, and so he feels like he won. So this way we're redirecting their attention to something that's appropriate to chew on. And because he feels like he pulled it away from us, he feels like it's a trophy. He feels, again, a sense of pride, which will help overall with him. And also we've redirected him to chewing on an appropriate object. Now when we do that, we immediately need to go and pick up another object like that and put it in our back pocket, so we always have one with us all the time. Now you can use nylobones for these. You can also use real antlers. You could use something like this, but like I said, this is a higher value item. So I would keep this not for redirecting that. We don't want him to think if I bite the human, I get a reward for biting the human. But we just want to be able to redirect them. Now something else that I did with my puppy is I got him interested in carrots. Carrots have a little bit of sugar, so it's sweet for the dog, but they are going to lose their teeth and go through a teething stage. If you can redirect your dog into chewing on carrots before you enter the stage, you can have a powerful tool to redirect them from chewing on your furniture. So let's say that your dog's licking, we have a couple pieces of furniture over here that are wood. If the puppy is licking it, he's trying to soften it up because he wants to chew on it. So once I see him licking it, I immediately go up and I get some baby carrots that I have. Well, first what I would do before I go through this, I would get the dog used to the baby carrots. So if you're still feeding out of a bowl, which again we talked about feeding out of toys, but I might get shredded carrots and just put a couple of them down with some kibble. So he'll eat the kibble and then the carrots. He gets used to eating carrots. Most dogs don't have a problem eating carrots. You want to make sure you introduce it in a positive way so they understand it's a food source. And then what I do is I have some baby carrots. Now, at first, what I'll do is when the dog's chewing stuff, sometimes I'll just give him a baby carrot, get him used to chewing on it and nibbling on it and ingesting it. It's dense, so it helps them feel good. Dogs like to chew. They chew to soothe themselves. So if your dog's chewing things, a lot of times it means it's stressed out and it's trying to calm itself down. So if we get it used to chewing these little baby carrots, once the dog is used to it after a week or two of doing that, then what I do, and the teething stage is usually 4 to 6 months, somewhere in that range, usually about 4.5 months. So what I would do is once the dog is into the carrots, this is where I picked up from where I left off earlier, is the dog's licking a piece of furniture, I would get up, go grab the carrots that have now been transferred into the freezer. Now if the dog is, let's say that this is the dog right here, this is the dog's head, and it's licking a post that's right here. I might go and I tap the dog, and I show that I have some baby carrots, and I drop them over here behind the dog. So that dog has to turn its whole orientation away from whatever it was chewing on, and then lays down on the floor to get the 3 or 4 carrots that I've dropped here. So now we've redirected the dog away from chewing something inappropriate to something that's appropriate. It's out of the dog's visual proximity, so once it gets done, a lot of times they get up and walk off and they look for another adventure to get in. So when you're doing this, it would probably behoove you to put a bully stick or an antler or something else a couple feet away in the same direction the dog is looking when it's chewing on those carrots. So this is another way to redirect your dog's attention. And when they're frozen, once you get to the point where they're teething, that's when I would freeze them. I guess I said earlier I would transition them to the freezer earlier. Keep them just in the fridge until your dog starts losing its teeth. And you'll notice like little pink stuff on some toys, or you might find a tooth or two, or you might just notice one's missing. Once that's the case, then I transfer them to the freezer. Just like human babies, the cold helps them numb their gums and helps soothe a little bit of that pain. So this way the dog is chewing on something that actually makes their teeth feel, or their gums feel better. They've gotten used to it. It's a great way to redirect them, and it helps. And then later on in life, you can give them carrots. I have carrots in my fridge, and every once in a while I'll just pull out 3 carrots and give each dog a carrot just as a bone. They go to the separate corners, chew it into a whole bunch of little pieces, and then they eat the little pieces up. So it's a great way to redirect their chewing. But again, chewing, don't just forego it completely. That's why you need to the dog has to develop that bite inhibition. That's going to come from playing that tug of war game that I started talking about in the early part of this video. So he's licking me, which is fine, but anytime the teeth touch me, I'm going to make that yelping sound, even if it didn't bite, even if it was accidental. I hear a lot of people like, the dog was missing me. He was biting the air. He kept on missing me. He's not missing you. He's giving you a warning. Dogs are very precise in what they bite. Puppies not quite as much as adults, but they know what they're doing. So we want the dog to develop good bite inhibition before their teeth get strong or their jaws get strong, and also use the carrots to develop them a way of redirect them so they don't chew up our furniture or couch and the other things. And the carrots, like I said, are a great way to prevent them from gnawing on things to try to soothe their gums. All right, this is a video. Evidently, Fidel is done with this video. This is a video all about chewing.